I caught my wife cheating during our honeymoon. She secretly made her lover stay in the same resort we visited and was sneaking into his room. Really unexpected, but I had to act as a man. Hello. Thank you for your continuous support. This means a lot to us. If you enjoy the stories we share, kindly subscribe to this channel. It will be great if you can leave a comment on which city you are watching from. We might just give you a shout out in our next story. Today's special shout out goes to Catherine Harper from Perth, Western Australia. We are glad you enjoy our stories. Now let's dive into the details of today's story. Picture this: a golden sunset spilling over a tropical resort, the kind with swaying palm trees, infinity pools that shimmer like glass, and air so thick with salt and flowers you can taste it. That's where we start, day one of Ethan and Lila's honeymoon. Ethan's standing on their balcony, a cold beer in hand, grinning like a kid who just won the lottery. He's 32, an architect with a quiet intensity, the guy who plans everything down to the last detail. His dark hair's still damp from a swim, and his hazel eyes catch the light as he watches the waves crash below. This trip? It's his masterpiece, a week of perfection for the woman he loves. Lila's inside, slipping into a sundress that hugs her curves just right. She's 29, a marketing whiz with a laugh that could charm a room full of strangers. Her auburn hair falls in loose waves, and her green eyes sparkle with something restless, something Ethan's always chalked up to her free spirit. They've been married 3 days, and to him, she's the prize at the end of a 2-year courtship. Wild, beautiful, his. Tonight, they're headed to dinner, and Ethan's got it all planned. Candlelight, fresh seafood, a toast to forever. Ready, babe, he calls, stepping back into the room. She flashes that megawatt smile, the one that hooked him at a friend's barbecue all those months ago. Born ready, she says, grabbing his arm. Her perfume, jasmine and a hint of citrus, wraps around him like a promise. Down at the restaurant, the vibe's electric. Steel drums hum in the background, and waiters glide between tables with trays of glistening shrimp and fruity cocktails. Ethan raises his glass, the clink of it against Lila's cutting through the chatter. To us, he says, voice steady but warm. To building something real. Lila's smile flickers, just for a second, before she echoes, to us. Her eyes dart to the bar, where a guy in a white linen shirt leans against the counter, sipping a rum and coke. Ethan doesn't notice. He's too busy savoring the moment. Fast forward to day 2. They're at the pool, sprawled on cushion loungers. Ethan's sketching in a notebook, some angular building design he can't shake even on vacation. Lila's scrolling her phone, sunglasses perched on her nose. Spa day tomorrow, she announces, not looking up. Gotta treat myself, right? Ethan chuckles. Sure, pamper away. Just don't ditch me for a masseuse. She laughs, loud and bright, but there's an edge to it he doesn't catch. Day 3 hits like a storm cloud nobody saw coming. Ethan's up early, jogging along the beach, sand kicking up behind him. He's buzzing. Marriage feels like a fresh blueprint, all clean lines and endless potential. Back at the room, Lila's gone. Spa, says the note on the dresser, scribbled in her loopy handwriting. He shrugs, grabs a book, and heads to the pool. Hours pass. No Lila. By noon, he's texting her. You good? No reply. By 3, he's pacing the lobby, that architect's brain of his starting to overanalyze. Did she get lost? Hurt? Or something else? That's when he meets Miguel. The security guard's a stocky guy, mid-40s, with a buzz cut and a no-nonsense stare. Ethan's hovering near the front desk, muttering about his missing wife, when Miguel leans over. You look like you're about to build a panic room, he says, voice gravelly but kind. Ethan forces a laugh. Just haven't seen her all day. Spa, she said. Miguel's eyes narrow, like he's seen this movie before. Spa's been quiet today. Want me to check something for you? Ethan hesitates. He's not the jealous type, never has been. But there's a knot in his gut, tight and cold, and it's screaming at him to say yes. Yeah, he mutters. Please. Miguel leads him to a cramped security office behind the lobby, all flickering monitors and stale coffee smells. Don't tell my boss, he says, tapping a keyboard. The screens blink to life. Grainy footage of the resort's halls, pool deck, bar. Where's she supposed to be? Ethan points at the spa entrance. Miguel fast-forwards. Nothing. No Lila. Then he switches to the guest corridors, and there it is, 11:47 p.m. last night. Lila, in a silk robe, slipping out of their room. She's glancing around, nervous but quick, like she's done this before. She turns a corner, knocks on a door, room 214, and it swings open. The guy from the bar steps out, all lazy grin and bare chest, pulling her inside. Ethan's world tilts. The air in the room feels thick, like it's choking him. Rewind, he croaks. Miguel does. Same scene, same stab to the chest. Lila's laugh echoes through the footage, tinny and distant, as she leans into the guy. Nathan, Ethan's brain supplies, remembering the name from a casual intro at the bar. That's her, he says, voice flat. Miguel shifts, uncomfortable. You sure you want to see more? Ethan shakes his head, but his eyes stay glued to the screen as it loops again. Her hand on Nathan's arm. The door clicking shut. He doesn't yell, doesn't curse, just sits there, hands clenched into fists, nails digging into his palms. Miguel clears his throat. Look, man, I've seen this crap before. You don't deserve it. Ethan doesn't answer. His mind's racing, piecing it together. Her late nights, working, the flirty texts she'd laugh off as clients. How blind was he? How long? Thanks, he finally says, standing. His voice is steel now, all the warmth drained out. Miguel nods, like he gets it. You need anything? I'm here. Ethan walks out, the hum of the resort fading behind him. The sun's still shining, the waves still crashing, but it's all noise now, meaningless, hollow. Back in their room, he stares at her stuff, her sundress tossed over a chair, her perfume bottle glinting on the dresser. That jasmine scent hits him like a punch. He doesn't touch it. Doesn't touch anything. Just stands there, breathing, planning. For days left in paradise? Not for him. Not anymore. The air in room 312 feels heavy now, like it's pressing down on Ethan's chest. It's 2 a.m. on day 4 of what was supposed to be a 7-day honeymoon, and he's standing in the dark, staring at the suitcase he's dragged from the closet. The resort outside hums with late-night laughter, drunk tourists stumbling back from the bar, waves slapping the shore. But in here, it's dead quiet. Just the sound of his own breathing, slow and deliberate, like he's measuring every inhale. Ethan's not the guy who stood on that balcony 3 days ago, beer in hand, dreaming of forever. That guy's a ghost now. This Ethan? He's a machine. He doesn't turn on the lights. Doesn't want to see the room, the king bed with its rumpled sheets, the scatter of Lila's stuff like landmines waiting to trip him up. Her sundress still hangs over the chair, her sandals kicked off by the door. That damn jasmine perfume lingers, mocking him. He moves fast, mechanical, grabs his clothes from the dresser, folds them into the suitcase with the precision of an architect drafting a blueprint. Shirt, pants, socks. No mess, no hesitation. He's not packing memories. He's packing an escape. His phone buzzes on the nightstand, Lila's name flashing across the screen. Third call tonight. He lets it ring out, watching the light pulse like a heartbeat until it dies. She's probably still in room 214, tangled up with Nathan, thinking Ethan's asleep, clueless. The thought twists in his gut, but he shoves it down. No time for that. He zips the suitcase, grabs a resort notepad, and scribbles 2 words. Goodbye. No explanation, no dear Lila, no nothing. Just the word, stark and final, left on her pillow where she'll see it. Where it'll hit her like a slap. He's out the door by 3 a.m., rolling his suitcase down the hall. The carpet muffles the wheels, but every creak of the floor feels loud in his ears. He half expects her to pop out of Nathan's room, catch him mid-flight, but the corridor's empty. At the front desk, a sleepy clerk barely looks up. Checking out early, sir? Ethan nods, sliding his keycard across. Yeah, flight to catch. It's a lie, he hasn't booked one yet, but it rolls off his tongue easy. The clerk taps a few keys, prints a receipt. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Ethan almost laughs. Almost. The airport's an hour away, and the cab ride is a blur of dark palms and neon signs. Ethan stares out the window, the glass cool against his forehead. His mind keeps replaying the CCTV, Lila's laugh, Nathan's smirk, the door clicking shut. He doesn't cry, doesn't yell, just sits there, fist clenched in his lap, building a wall in his head brick by brick. By the time he's at the terminal, dawn streaking the sky pink, and he's got a ticket home on the first flight out 6:15 a.m. He boards without looking back. On the plane, he's got a window seat, but he doesn't see the clouds or the ocean below. He sees their wedding 3 days ago, a lifetime ago. Lila in white, glowing under string lights, promising to love him forever. Him promising the same, voice thick with trust. The memory stings, sharp and sour, and he digs his nails into his palms to kill it. The guy next to him, some balding businessman, snores through takeoff. Ethan envies him, wishes he could sleep, switch off, anything. But his brain's a live wire, sparking with what's next. Divorce papers, selling the house, cutting her out like a tumor. Meanwhile, back at the resort, Lila's waking up to a nightmare. It's 8 a.m., and she's slipping out of Nathan's room, hair mussed, robe tied loose. She's got that smug little grin, the one she wears when she thinks she's pulled something off. Nathan's still sprawled on the bed, snoring, one arm flung over the sheets. "See you tonight?" she whispers. He grunts, half awake. Maybe. She doesn't care. He's fun, a fling, a thrill Ethan's steady love can't match. She tiptoes back to 312, ready to slide into bed, play the sleepy wife. The room's too quiet when she opens the door. No Ethan breathing soft in the dark, no rustle of sheets. She flicks on the light, and her stomach drops. His side of the closet's empty. His suitcase, gone. Then she sees it, the note on her pillow. Goodbye. 2 syllables, black ink, no mercy. Her grin vanishes. She grabs her phone, dials him, straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. "Ethan, what the hell?" she mutters, pacing now, bare feet slapping the tile. She texts, "Where are you? Call me." Nothing. She runs to the front desk, robe flapping, voice shrill. "My husband, did he check out?" The clerk blinks, checks the system. "Yes, ma'am. Early this morning." Lila's head spins. "He didn't say where?" The clerk shakes her head, and Lila's legs wobble. She stumbles back to the room, sinks onto the bed, staring at that note like it's a bomb. He knows. He has to know. But how? When? She dials again, voicemail each time. His calm, leave a message, taunting her. By noon, she's a mess, hair tangled, eyes red, yelling at Nathan through his door. "Open up, you jerk." He cracks it, bleary-eyed. "What's your deal?" She shoves past him. "Ethan's gone. Left me here. Did you say something?" Nathan laughs, cold and lazy. "Me? Nah. Maybe he's just tired of you." She slaps him, hard, and he shoves her out, slamming the door. She's alone now, the resort's cheer mocking her. Staff whisper as she storms past, that abandoned bride, already a story. Ethan lands back home by 2 p.m., the city gray and familiar. His house, the one they picked together, feels like a stranger's now. He drops his suitcase in the hall, grabs a beer from the fridge, and sits on the couch in the dark. No calls answered, no explanations owed. Lila's still blowing up his phone, text piling up, please he won't read. He sips the beer, lets it go warm in his hand. Tomorrow, he'll call a lawyer. Tomorrow, he'll start tearing it all down. But tonight? Tonight, he just sits, letting the silence settle over him like armor. Ethan's back in their house, or what's left of it, by dusk on day 4. The place smells like her still, that jasmine perfume clinging to the curtains, the faint whiff of her coconut shampoo in the bathroom. It's a 2-story fixer-upper they bought 6 months ago, all chipped paint and creaky floors, a project he'd poured his architect's soul into. Now it's a crime scene, hers, not his. He stands in the living room, beer still in hand from the flight, and takes it in, the couch where they'd binged shows, the kitchen where he'd cooked her breakfast. It's all tainted now, a blueprint gone wrong. He doesn't sleep that night. By 6 a.m., he's on the phone with a lawyer, some sharp-edged guy named Dan he found online, voice like gravel and promises of speed. Divorce, clean break, no contact, Ethan says, pacing the hardwood. Can you make it fast? Dan chuckles. Fast is my middle name. Papers will be ready by tomorrow. Ethan hangs up, already moving. He grabs a stack of cardboard boxes from the garage, the ones they kept from the move, and starts with her closet. Dresses, jeans, that lacy top she wore on their first date, he shoves it all in. No folding, no care. Her jewelry box goes next, rings and necklaces clattering like loose change. He's not gentle. He's not sentimental. He's erasing. His phone's a battlefield. Lila's text lighting it up every few minutes. Ethan, Please talk to me. I'm sorry, I swear. Where are you? He doesn't read them, just watches the screen glow and fade, glow and fade. By noon, he's got 6 boxes stacked by the front door, her life spilling out in messy piles. He calls her parents, Jim and Carol, good people who'd hugged him tight at the wedding. Hey, it's Ethan, he says when Carol picks up, her voice all warm confusion. You need to come get Lila's stuff. It's outside. We're done. A pause, then a shaky. What happened? He cuts her off. Ask her. Click. By 2 p.m., he's dragging the boxes to the lawn, the grass still damp from morning dew. Neighbors peek through blinds, Mrs. Carter across the street, the nosy type, probably already texting the block. Ethan doesn't care. Let them talk. He's on the phone again, this time with a realtor. Sell it, he says, voice flat. Quick as you can. I'm leaving town. The realtor, a chipper woman named Kelly, stammers. But it's only been, sell it, he repeats, and hangs up. He's not staying in this graveyard of a house 1 second longer than he has to. Lila's landing back home hits like a hurricane. It's day 5, and she's stepping off a red-eye flight. Eyes puffy from crying, hair a tangled mess. She'd spent the last day at the resort begging Nathan for answers, got nothing but a shrug and a take care, babe. The cab drops her at the house, and there it is, her life in boxes, soaking wet from a sudden rain, labels smudged and running. Her parents' car is pulling away, Carol in the passenger seat, face pale, Jim gripping the wheel like he's holding back a storm. Mom, Lila yells, running up, but Carol just shakes her head, tears streaking her cheeks. You broke his heart, Lila. Fix this yourself. She's alone now, standing in the downpour, staring at the wreckage. Her wedding ring still on cold, heavy, useless. She tries the door locked. Tries Ethan's number. Voicemail, that same calm, leave a message slicing through her. Ethan, please, she sobs into the phone, rain dripping off her nose. I messed up. I'll do anything. Just talk to me. Nothing. She bangs on the door, screams his name until her throat's raw, but the house stays dark, empty. He's gone physically here or not, he's gone. Inside, Ethan's already on his way out. The realtor's fast, house listed by evening, a cash offer rolling in by night. He signs it without blinking, $10,000 under asking, but it's done. He packs his own stuff, laptop, clothes, a few books, into a duffel, leaves the rest for the new owners. By midnight, he's in a rental car, driving 3 hours to a new city, smaller, quieter, a fresh slate. He finds a condo online, sleek, modern, all sharp lines and no ghosts. Pays the deposit with the house sale cash. It's his now. Lila's calls keep coming 20, 30, 40 missed, but he turns the phone off, tosses it on the passenger seat. Silence feels better. Lila's not silent, though. She's crashing at a cheap motel, the kind with flickering neon and stained carpets, because her parents won't take her in, not yet. She's got a bottle of cheap wine, half empty, and a notebook where she's scribbling apologies she'll never send. I didn't mean it, she writes, tears smudging the ink. Nathan was a mistake. You're everything. But the words feel hollow even to her. She replays it all, sneaking to Nathan's room, laughing at Ethan's trust, thinking she could have both. Now she's got neither. Her phone's dead, battery drained from calling, and she's too broke to charge it. The motel TV drones in the background, some reality show about cheating spouses. She throws the remote at it, misses, and curls up on the lumpy bed, sobbing. Ethan's first night in the condo is cold. No furniture yet, just a mattress on the floor, a single lamp casting shadows on bare walls. He lies there, staring at the ceiling, hands behind his head. The city hums outside, cars, distant sirens. But it's not home. Home's dead. He thinks about the house, wonders if Lila's still out there in the rain, then pushes it away. She's not his problem anymore. Tomorrow, he'll start work, remote gigs, new designs, a life rebuilt from scratch. Tonight, though, he lets himself feel it. Just for a second, the ache of what she took from him. Then he rolls over, shuts off the lamp, and wills sleep to come. 3 months after the honeymoon implosion, Lila's a shadow of the woman who laughed her way through that tropical resort. She's crashing on Tara's couch now, her best friend since college, the one who'd squealed with her over Ethan's proposal. Tara's place is a cozy 1-bedroom, all soft rugs and thrift store charm, but it feels like a cage to Lila. Her stuff's still in boxes at her parents' garage. They've softened enough to store it, but not to let her move back in. "You made your bed," her dad had said, voice like a slammed door. So here she is, sipping stale coffee from a chipped mug, trying to piece herself together. Tara's been her lifeline, listening to her sob about Ethan, pouring wine when the nights get dark. "He'll come around," Tara says one evening, flipping her blonde hair over her shoulder. She's 28, a hairstylist with a bubbly streak, always the optimist. Guys need time. Lila nods, clinging to that hope like a lifeline. She's texted Ethan 100 times, no reply, just silence. But maybe Tara's right. Maybe he's cooling off. She doesn't tell Tara about Nathan, not the whole story. Just says it was a stupid fling, a mistake. Tara hugs her tight. "You're better than that, babe." Then it happens. It's a Tuesday, gray and drizzly, when Tara comes home late, cheeks flushed, eyes darting. "I've got news," she says, dropping her purse with a thud. Lila looks up from the couch, where she's scrolling job listings, anything to claw out of this hole. "Spill it," she says, forcing a grin. Tara hesitates, then blurts it. "Nathan proposed. We're getting married." The room tilts. Lila's coffee mug slips, hits the floor, shatters. "Nathan," she chokes out. "My Nathan." Tara winces. "It's not like that. We started talking after you. You know. It just happened." Lila's on her feet, voice rising. "After me? You mean while I was crying to you about him?" Tara steps back, hands up. "I didn't plan it, Lee. He's a good guy, better than you made him sound." The words land like a slap. Lila's mind races. Nathan, the resort fling, the guy who shrugged her off like lint, now with Tara? She sees it now. Tara's late nights, her sudden clients at odd hours. "You were screwing him behind my back," Lila says, low and venomous. Tara shakes her head, but her eyes, guilty, flickering, say it all. The wedding's 3 weeks later, and Lila goes. She shouldn't, knows it's a bad idea, but she can't stop herself. It's at a little outdoor venue, all fairy lights and mason jars, the kind of Pinterest-perfect day she'd once dreamed of with Ethan. She sits in the back, cheap sundress sticking to her skin, watching Tara glide down the aisle in white. Nathan's there, smirking in a tux, same lazy charm that hooked her at the resort. They kiss, and the crowd claps, but Lila's stomach churns. Tara catches her eye mid-ceremony, flashes a smug little smile. It's a dagger. At the reception, Lila's 3 glasses of wine in, hovering near the bar. She's a mess, mascara smudged, hair frizzing in the humidity. Tara floats over, all bride glow. "Glad you came," she says, fake sweet. Lila snaps. "You're a snake," she slurs, loud enough that heads turn. "Both of you." Nathan saunters up, arm around Tara. "Chill, Lila. You had your shot." She grabs a glass, someone's champagne, and hurls it. It smashes at their feet, bubbly fizzing on the grass. "Screw you both," she yells, storming off as guests gasp and whisper. She's done. Kicked out of Tara's place that night, her last bridge torched. She's back at the motel, same dingy room as before, with a bottle of vodka and a busted ego. Her phone's alive again, but it's not Ethan she's texting. It's Tara, venomous rants she deletes unsent. She's alone, truly alone, and it's sinking in. Nathan played her, Tara stabbed her, Ethan erased her. The vodka burns her throat, but it doesn't numb the truth. Across the state, Ethan's building something new. His condo's still bare, mattress, lamp, a folding chair, but it's his. No Jasmine, no ghosts. He's working remote now, designing a community center for some small-town client, all clean lines and open spaces. It's therapy, sketching order out of chaos. His phone's off most days. Lila's calls stopped a month ago, replaced by occasional voicemails he deletes unheard. He's not healed, not even close, but he's functioning. The wall he's built is holding. Then Miguel shows up. The security guard from the resort tracked him down, moved nearby for a new job, he says, knocking on Ethan's door with a 6-pack and a grin. "Thought you might need a beer," Miguel says, stepping in. Ethan blinks, surprised, but lets him stay. They drink on the floor, backs against the wall, talking about nothing sports, weather, the resort's bad coffee. It's the first time Ethan's laughed in months, a rusty sound that catches him off guard. Miguel doesn't ask about Lila, doesn't pry, just sits there like a quiet anchor. You're a good dude, Ethan says finally, voice low. Miguel shrugs. So are you. A year's passed since the honeymoon blew apart, and Lila's running on fumes. She's in a new city now, Ethan's city, though she doesn't know he knows it yet. It's a smaller place, all brick storefronts and leafy streets, a far cry from the sprawling chaos she left behind. She's renting a shoebox apartment above a laundromat, the kind where the walls hum with dryer noise and the sink drips no matter how tight you turn the faucet. Her stuff's still in boxes, clothes, a cracked lamp, that wedding photo she can't toss. But she's not here to settle. She's here to find him. It started with a slip. A mutual friend, some guy from Ethan's old firm, mentioned he'd moved here, dropped it casual over coffee like it wasn't a grenade. Lila latched onto it, sold her last decent jewelry for bus fare, and packed a duffel. She's got a job now, barely, waitressing at a greasy diner, the kind with sticky menus and tips and loose change. It's enough to keep her afloat, but her real work's off the clock, tracking Ethan. She's got no number, no address, just a hunch and a gnawing need to fix what she broke. He'll listen, she tells herself, scrubbing ketchup off a plate. He has to. Her days are a loop. Sling hash browns, pocket quarters, then roam. She's mapped his habits, or what she guesses they might be. Coffee shops he might like, parks where he might sketch, that modern office building downtown with all the glass. She's seen him twice, once outside a deli, head down, hands in his pockets. Once crossing a street, briefcase swinging. Both times, her heart jackhammered, but he didn't look up, didn't see her. She's not sure if she's relieved or wrecked by that. At night, she writes letters, pages of apologies, pleas, excuses, then stuffs them in a drawer. She's too scared to send them, too stubborn to stop. Ethan's not clueless, though. He's been here a year, carved out a life, small, sharp-edged his. The condo's got furniture now, a gray couch, a drafting table littered with blueprints, a fridge stocked with beer and takeout. He's designing a library now, all soaring ceilings and quiet corners, pouring himself into it like it's a shield. His phone's a ghost town, no social media, no old contacts, just Miguel's number and work emails. Lila's voicemail stopped months ago, but he's not dumb. Miguel tipped him off. She's here, asking around, sniffing like a hound. Saw her near the market. Miguel said over beers last week, casual but firm. She's looking for you. Ethan didn't flinch then, just nodded, took a swig. But it's in his head now, a splinter he can't dig out. He's tightened the screws, new locks on the door, blinds always down, routes switched up. He's not hiding, he tells himself. He's protecting. Works his bunker, long hours, late nights, sketches piling up. But she's out there, a shadow he can't shake. He catches himself scanning crowds, her auburn hair, her quick walk. Then hates himself for it. She's nothing, he mutters, erasing a line from his draft too hard, tearing the paper. Miguel's not buying it. He's over one night, sprawled on the couch, cracking peanuts from a bag. He's a fixture now, security gig downtown, steady as a rock. You gotta face her, man, he says, tossing a shell in the trash. She's not giving up. Ethan's at the table, pencil paused midline. She's not my problem. Miguel snorts. Bull. She's in your head. I see it. Ethan glares, but Miguel's right. Those nightmares, her laugh echoing from room 214, wake him up sweating. Let her rot, he says, but it's hollow, and they both know it. Lila's closing in. It's a crisp fall day, leaves crunching under her boots, when she spots him for real. He's at a cafe, outdoor table, sipping black coffee, sketching on a napkin. She's across the street, breath fogging in the chill, frozen. He looks good, older, harder, his jaw set like stone. Her hands shake, part cold, part fear, but she steps forward. A car honks, loud and sharp, and he glances up. Their eyes lock, just a second, a heartbeat, and her stomach flips. Then he looks away, back to his sketch, like she's a stranger. She stumbles back, ducks behind a corner, chest heaving. He saw her. He saw her. And he didn't care. That night, she's a wreck, pacing her tiny apartment, the laundromat rumble shaking the floor. She grabs a pen, writes another letter. Ethan, I'm here. I'm sorry. Please, just 5 minutes. She doesn't send it, rips it up instead, It's fluttering like ash. She's losing it, she knows, but stopping's not an option. She'll try again tomorrow, and the next day, until he listens. Until he sees her. Ethan's not sleeping either. He's on his balcony, tiny slab of concrete overlooking the street, coffee gone cold in his hand. That look today, it wasn't nothing. Her eyes, green and desperate, punched through his wall, left a crack. He hates it. Hates her. Hates that she's here, digging up graves he buried deep. He tosses the coffee over the edge, watches it splatter on the pavement below. Stay away, he says to the night. But it's a plea, not a command. He's not sure who he's begging, her or himself. 2 years after that doomed honeymoon, the sky over Ethan's city cracks open, unleashing a downpour that turns streets into rivers. It's late afternoon, gray and wild, and Lila's done waiting. She's been stalking his routines for weeks. Coffee stops, office exits, that damn library he's designing, and today's the day. She's outside his office now, a squat glass building downtown, soaked to the bone. Her boots squish with every step, her jacket's a useless rag, and her auburn hair sticks to her face like wet rope. She doesn't care. She's got nothing left to lose. Ethan's inside, wrapping up a call, some client nitpicking window specs. He's 34 now, leaner, sharper, his hazel eyes shadowed from late nights. The library's nearly done, a triumph he'd once have celebrated with her. He grabs his coat, steps into the lobby, and freezes. Through the glass doors, he sees her, Lila, pacing under the awning, a drenched ghost from a life he torched. His jaw tightens. He could wait her out, slip out the back, but the splinter she's lodged in him festers. Fine, he mutters, shoving the door open. Let's end this. The rain hits him like a slap, cold and relentless, as he steps onto the sidewalk. Lila spins, spots him, and charges, boots splashing, voice breaking through the storm. Ethan, wait. He stops, 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, rain streaking his face. She's a wreck, thin, hollow-cheeked, green eyes wide and frantic. I just need to talk, she yells, wind whipping her words. He doesn't move, doesn't blink, just stares like she's a stranger begging for change. 5 minutes, she pleads, stepping closer. Please. He doesn't nod, doesn't agree, but he doesn't walk away either. That's enough for her. She launches in, words tumbling fast, desperate. I messed up, Ethan. I know that. Nathan. He was nothing, a stupid mistake. I was scared, okay? Marriage, forever. It freaked me out, and I ran to him because he didn't matter. Rain's pouring off her nose, mixing with tears she doesn't bother hiding. I've paid for it. He dumped me, Tara stole him, my life's gone. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Ethan listens, rain soaking his coat, his shoes, his skin. Her voice cracks, and he sees it. Her regret, her ruin, but it's not enough. It's never enough. He lets her finish, lets the storm howl between them, then steps forward, closing the gap. His voice is low, steady, cutting through the rain like a blade. You think sorry fixes this? You think I care about your sob story? She flinches, but he's not done. You didn't just cheat, Lila. You killed me. The guy I was, the life I built. I trusted you. I loved you. And you laughed about it in his room. Her mouth opens, a shaky, I didn't. But he cuts her off, stepping closer, eyes blazing. Don't. I saw it. CCTV, every second. Your smile, his hands, the door shutting me out. You didn't trip into it. You chose it. His voice rises now, raw and ragged, years of buried rage spilling out. I gave you everything, my plans, my heart, that house, and you torched it. For what? A fling? A thrill? He's shouting now, rain swallowing half his words, but she hears every one. You don't get forgiveness. You don't get me back. Live with it. Lila's sobbing, hands clutching her arms like she's holding herself together. I didn't mean to hurt you, she chokes out. Nathan, he said things, pushed me. Ethan laughs, a bitter, jagged sound. Don't blame him. You walked into that room. You locked the door. She reaches for him, a trembling hand, but he steps back, rain filling the space. I've got nothing for you, he says, voice dropping cold again. Go home, Lila. Wherever that is. She crumples, knees buckling, hitting the wet pavement, sobs lost in the storm. Ethan watches, just for a second, then turns. His boots splash through puddles, coat flapping as he walks away. She screams after him, "Ethan, please." But the rain drowns it, and he doesn't look back. He's done, emptied out, a hollow man in a soaked shell. The office lights blur behind him, and he's gone, swallowed by the gray. Lila's still there, kneeling in the flood, rain hammering her skull. She digs in her pocket, pulls out that wedding photo. Crumpled, fading, Ethan's smile a ghost under plastic. She clutches it, rocking, whispering, I'm sorry," like it's a prayer. But no one's listening. Not Ethan, not God, not the storm. She's alone, truly alone, and it's her own hands that dug the grave. Ethan's back at the condo by dusk, dripping wet, tracking mud across the floor he doesn't care to clean. He strips off his coat, grabs a whiskey from the kitchen, and sinks onto the couch. The glass shakes in his hand, not from cold, but from the quake inside. He saw her, really saw her, broken, begging, human. For a flash, he'd felt it. The old love, the ache, the what-ifs. Then he'd crushed it, stomped it dead in the rain. He sips the whiskey, lets it burn, and stares at the wall. Free's a lie, he's not free. He's just empty. Flashbacks hit him then, unbidden. Her in that white dress, twirling under lights. Her laugh over breakfast, bright and alive. Her hand in his, promising forever. He'd ignored the cracks, her late nights, her flirty edge, because he'd wanted the dream. His fault, too, maybe. Blind trust, deaf hope. He downs the glass, sets it hard on the table. No more dreams. No more her. The rain's gone by morning, leaving the city slick and gleaming, like it's been washed clean. Ethan's condo is a cave, curtains drawn, air thick with last night's whiskey. He's on the couch, still in yesterday's clothes, the empty glass a silent witness to the storm's aftermath. 2 years and 4 days since that honeymoon, and Lila's face, drenched, desperate, won't leave him. He'd walked away, left her in the flood, but the victory's ash in his mouth. He's 34 now, a man rebuilt from steel and silence, but last night cracked something he can't name. He drags himself up, joints stiff, and shuffles to the kitchen. The bottle's still there, half full, amber glinting in the dim light. He pours a shot, stares at it, then dumps it down the sink. Enough. He's got work, blueprints spread across the table, that library project due next week. It's his lifeline, all sharp angles and purpose, a tower of his own making. He sits, grabs a pencil, and tweaks a line, an archway too soft, too open. He erases it hard, redraws it stark and solitary. That's better. That's him now. The phone buzzes, Miguel, checking in. You good, man? His gravelly voice crackles through. Ethan leans back, rubs his eyes. Yeah, fine. It's a lie, but Miguel's used to it. Saw her leave, Miguel says, casual but pointed. Bus station, early. Looked rough. Ethan's throat tightens, Lila, gone. He waits for relief, but it doesn't come. Just a dull ache, an echo of her sobs in the rain. Good, he says, voice flat. Miguel pauses. You sure you're fine? Ethan forces a laugh, dry and thin. I'm always fine. Click. He tosses the phone aside, lets the silence settle. Across town, Lila's at that bus station, a gray slab of concrete under a bruised sky. Her duffel slung over her shoulder, heavier than it should be clothes, a toothbrush, that cracked lamp she hauled from the apartment. She's 30 now, but she feels ancient, cheeks sunken, eyes bruised from crying. The wedding photo's gone, lost to last night's puddle, and with it, the last shred of Ethan she'd clung to. She's got a ticket, some nowhere town upstate, cheap rent, a fresh start she doesn't believe in. The bus idles, diesel fumes stinging her nose, and she boards, taking a window seat near the back. She stares out as the city shrinks, brick buildings, wet streets, the life she chased and lost. Her hands twist in her lap, nails chipped, no ring. She'd begged him yesterday, bared her soul in that rain, and he'd thrown it back, cold, final, deserved. Live with it, he'd said, and she will. She has to. The bus lurches forward, and she whispers, goodbye, to no one, to him, to herself, to the mess she made. It's over, and the weight of that sinks deep, a stone she'll carry wherever she lands. Ethan's day grinds on. He finishes the blueprint clean, precise, a fortress on paper, and emails it off. The client's thrilled, calls it brilliant, but the praise slides off him. He's not in it for applause anymore. He grabs a beer, not whiskey, not today, and steps onto the balcony. The city hums below, cars honking, kids laughing somewhere distant. It's alive, moving, and he's apart from it, a spectator in his own story. Miguel's words nag at him. She looked rough, and he sees her again, kneeling in the flood, broken. He shakes it off, sips the beer, lets it go warm in his hand. Flashbacks creep in, soft and uninvited, her in his arms at that barbecue, all fire and laughter, her sketching with him on lazy Sundays, doodling hearts in his margins. He loved her wildness, her spark, even when it flickered too bright. He'd ignored the signs, her late-night meetings, her restless edge, because he'd wanted the fairy tale. Now he's got this, a condo, a job, a wall no one breaches. Free, sure, but it's a cold kind of free, a tower with no doors. Lila's bus rolls through fields now, golden under a weak sun. She pulls out a notebook, not for letters this time, just scraps of thought. Start over, she writes, pen shaky. No Ethan, no Tara, no Nathan. Just me. It's a lie she'll try to live, a seed she'll plant in whatever dirt she finds. She's not redeemed, not yet, but she's breathing, and that's something. The bus rattles on, and she rests her head against the glass, letting the hum lull her. She's ashes now scattered, but maybe there's life in the dust. Ethan's night ends early. He's back at the table, sketching again, not work, just lines, shapes, a habit to fill the quiet. The library's done, but there's always another project, another tower to build. His phone buzzes, Miguel again, a text. Beer tomorrow? Ethan types back, yeah, and sets it down. It's not much, a friend, a drink, but it's a tether, a crack in the steel. He erases a line, redraws it softer this time, lets it curve. Maybe he's not all edges yet. That's how it all ends. What do you think? Ethan's choice, right or wrong? Tell me in the comments. If you loved it, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more stories. Share it with a friend, and check the playlist below for your next fix. Thanks for listening. See you next time.